Welcome back to another episode of the Girl Power Alliance podcast. This is going to be a very fun podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can already see I have two ridiculously amazing women on the podcast. If you're listening to this, I have two absolutely phenomenal guests. Let me introduce them to you. I'm going to start with Lisa Vanderquack, who is, if you don't know who she is in the world of speaking, where have you been? She is literally a renowned speaker coach. She travels all over. Every time I'm like, Lisa, where are you in the world? She's always somewhere because she not only speaks at events, but she trains you to become a world-class speaker, among many other things. She's a mother and a wife. She is a powerful woman of God. She is moving the needle in her country of Canada to take things in the direction of the kingdom. She is a profound leader here at Girl Power Alliance. I love her. She shares my birthday. We're stuck together forever. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Yes, we are stuck together. God ordained. So happy to be here.
It was God ordained. Speaking of God ordained, this other beautiful woman here on this call. Have you ever had this happen? Like you're on social media, all of a sudden somebody's feed, it's the only thing you see. It's like, is there anybody else on my social media? This is what happened with me, with Molly. I don't even know when we became friends. But all of a sudden in 2020, it was like the only person I saw on my social media platform. So I said, okay, God, clearly I need to meet her. Reached out to Molly. After I got off the phone with her, I said to Bobby, I already had two other people involved with me in the formation of Girl Power Alliance. And I said, I think Molly is supposed to be one of those people that was already here. So God already knew before I did. And Molly has literally been here since the inception. We launched in June of 2020. Molly was the first course that we launched in 2020. She is powerful. She's a powerful woman of God. She's still so young and already having such a tremendous impact. She teaches people on-camera confidence, amongst a lot of other things. She is the director of field development here at Girl Power Alliance. I love her so much. I just can't even wait to see the impact that she has when she's my age, starting out at her age with what she already has in her pocket. Welcome to the podcast, Molly.
Thank you. Gosh, you definitely know how to give an introduction and make somebody feel good, right, Lisa?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm
done for the day.
For both of you. Well deserved for both of you. We are pumped. We're very excited because we are going to share with you today about the Radiant Speaker Academy, of which we have had one round already. And let me just talk to you about how this amazing 9-week virtual course and subsequent certification was even birthed. I had been seeing stuff on social media for a really long time of people launching this master speaker course and this course all about speaking, learn to get on stage and everything. And as somebody who's been literally speaking, I've been speaking for 20 years, specifically in the network marketing profession. But even before that, for 10 years, I was an educator speaking in small, not on stages, but in small rooms. I was an educator in the beauty business. So I've been speaking since I was a grown-up, basically. It's a long time. I'm getting older now. And I was always very interested in speaking. When I would look at these courses, they were I'm talking really expensive. I never saw anything less than $10,000. Most of them were in the $20,000 to $25,000 range, all of these courses. So it was always in the back of my mind, man, it would be really amazing to put something together here inside of Girl Power Alliance, specifically to teach people about stage speaking. But I mean, who has the time? So it was just in the back of my mind. Molly and I were driving home from an event. Lisa sends me a message and it was a voice message and I played it out loud and Molly heard it. And Lisa says, I don't know if you're interested in this or not, but wouldn't it be cool if we had an academy here inside of GPA to teach people about onstage speaking? I just was covered with chills from head to toe and immediately said, yes, the answer is yes. And that is literally how the Radiant Speaker Academy was born. We have combined, what did we decide our combined experience is, ladies, with all of us with speaking and being on the camera?
I think we said
60.
60.
Something like that.
Yeah, that's a lot of years of speaking in combine, and each of us have a different experience. So we each have really different things to bring to the table, and we have an aligned vision. our aligned vision is to empower more people to really hone in and craft their message so that they can have a bigger impact on the kingdom, so that they can communicate more effectively with more people, getting out this message that I feel more urgent than ever before to
Yeah.
get out the message of hope of who Jesus Christ is.
Mm.
So this is kind of the birthing story of what we now have as Girl Power Alliance. So I'm sure both of you Lisa, take it away. I'd love to hear kind of your thoughts in leaving that message.
Oh, yeah. Well, the lead up to that message was like weeks and weeks. I had this impression on my spirit, and I don't know if you've ever had this, and you're like, you pray through something and it just doesn't go away. Just like, okay, God, you want me to do something with this? Because I'm like, God. And so the struggle, and I'll be very transparent here. The struggle was, as a speaking coach, this is what I do all day with, helping women to craft their message, become using speaking to grow their business. And I'm like, God, you want me to do what? So as I prayed into that, I was like, okay, God, I'm going to trust you. This is your business, God. And it's not my business, it's your business. So I didn't know that you guys were thinking about this. And so I sent that message. I'm just going to send the message to Michelle, just like you said. I don't know if you've been thinking about this. And when you came back, like almost immediately, and you were like screaming, and then I just like, okay, God, you're doing something here. And I loved it then when we three of us jumped on a call to just explore that. And it was just like this download.
Yeah.
God gave us this download of a framework to use to help women to have a clear message, to be able to get ready, to be on a stage, but also to be always ready with this framework. And I just love that.
Me too. It was exciting. Molly, I know you have thoughts. Share them.
Well, it's so interesting when you hear Lisa's perspective, because when you brought me into GPA, Michelle, I was at the height of my coaching career, helping people get their confidence on camera. And I was like, this is such a big gap in the market. No one has TV experience. Like, people were coming to me, and it was the most success I've ever seen. And then when God said, we're done there, full-time GPA, I was like, what? Excuse me. But I was like, felt so much peace over it, right? Because I was like, everything inside of GPA is everything I ever wanted. But I was like, Lord, but people need this. So that's where I brought speaking courses into the membership. But the final piece was when Lisa said, hey, what about the Radiant Speaker Academy? Because in the depths of my soul, I said, there's more that I have in the tank. Where is this going? And then when we were able to pour it in there, I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. And it just took a little bit longer, but that's fine, because there's so much that gets to happen here with the gifts that we all have. But it was like just how God orchestrated it. And, it didn't come from you or I will never forget that moment in the car where we looked at each other. We were like, oh my gosh, why didn't we think of that, Lisa? Yes, genius. And in true fashion here at GPA, within months or weeks, we launched something. We just go right into it, and people were so excited. And it was a massive class from the get-go, because people are like, even though I feel like I want to pee my pants, I'm nervous and I'm scared, I'm doing it anyways. And that was even, a quadruple confirmation of, we knew that this needed to happen, but then all the women that really needed this were like, no matter what, I'm in. And just to watch that ripple effect so far has just been incredible.
It really has been incredible. And so for those of you that are wondering, what is this? Well, this is a live virtual 9-week academy that is going to take you through. Each of us have 3 weeks with the students in the class where we take a specific piece of the framework, and we teach you how to implement that, along with all the things that each of us collectively know about how to effectively communicate behind the camera, in front of a stage, or just communicating in general with people. Because it doesn't matter if you are an actual professional speaker already, or if you are a mother trying to communicate with your spouse and children. Communication, everything is wrapped up in our ability to effectively communicate with people, to get an idea or a message, or to share instruction, or to lead people. Everything hinges on our ability to communicate. So you might be thinking, oh, it sounds cool, but I'm not a public speaker. I don't need to take the course. Yeah, you do. You're a human being on this planet, and you want to have better communication with the people in your life, then this course will benefit you. And Lisa's right. That first call, we were like, okay, we've literally, I couldn't even believe how much we accomplished in like an hour. We came up with the length of time, we segmented the training. We even came up with our signature talk, our signature framework. And for those of you that are listening, we were saying, we are living in a time where faith-based speakers or people with a message that includes faith, they're getting knocked off the stage, or they're being told, you can share about this, but keep your faith, especially Christians, keep your faith. Like, we don't want that on here. This isn't going to be a political podcast. It could easily turn into that, but this is the truth of the time that we are living in now, that when that our faith offends. Our faith offends.
Absolutely.
And so as we were all talking about this, we were like, listen, wouldn't it be cool if we could create not just the training, but a platform for people that have a message of faith, a kingdom talk, to come together and do our own version of what has been out there and has been like the premier place for speakers to kind of like cut their teeth and create their authority as a speaker, which is TED Talks, right?
Yes. That's been kind of the gold standard for people. Oh, if I have a TED Talk, then I've made it. But what are we saying? Move over, Ted. Here comes Kim.
Yes, exactly. Ted who?
Yeah. So
what
one of you want to share what it is?
Sure. Yeah, we'll dive right into it. So Kim 10 is what our signature talk is, and it stands for Kingdom Impact Talk in 10 minutes. So what we were saying, move over, Ted, or Ted who, is because when we first said this, it was not only, yes, I want to get in the class, but it's like, wait a second, can like I get on a stage and share my Kim 10 too with people who haven't even gone through the program yet, because it hadn't even started. And so bigger vision, we were like, all right, well, apparently we need a Kim 10 event for Kim 10 speakers to share this message. But it just goes back to the genesis of, there's so much that God has done in and through us. And it's like, how do we put that in a very impactful talk in 10 minutes? So each of us in our 3 weeks throughout the 9-week academy is going over different parts of the framework, how to open, how to really be able to share the story, how to just really keep people engaged throughout the entire thing. And then bring them to a point where it gets them to move into action. And it's amazing to see what these women have done, because one of my favorite parts is the first homework we gave them was said, hey, go ahead and record your Kim 10. And everybody's like, well, wait a second, aren't we supposed to learn that here? And I'm like, yeah, but go do it anyways. And oh my gosh, the amount of questions, because they were like, I need some direction. And they were all freaking out. I don't know your guys' experience with that, but I thought it was kind of funny to watch, because it just goes to show you, like, when you give people that much room for creativity to just fly with it, they're like, I don't know what to do. But seeing the before and afters, incredible. So I don't know if you guys have anything else you want to add when it comes to just what the name is or what you saw when it came to that.
Yeah, I just want to piggyback on what you just said there, is because and I find that really, really common, is that people don't know what to say. Like, they don't know where to start. And so this is the beautiful thing about the Kim 10, is that you give them a framework to say, this is where you start, and questions that you ask to be able to help them. But the other piece that I love about this, in 10 minutes, give your kingdom impact message in 10 minutes, is that it's concise. And this is another area where a lot of speakers struggle, is being concise. And I know we all have this same value, less words, more impact, and helping them to understand, okay, how much content do you need? How much is enough and how much is too much? And how do you determine what content to put in a message? And that is part of the training that you get. And I believe, just like you were saying, Michelle, that, as kingdom-minded entrepreneurs, we need to be able to communicate in a clear, concise manner, and in a way that really catches the attention of the people we're listening to, right? So that we can represent Christ, represent the kingdom, without even necessarily having to say kingdom biblical scripture or something like that. It's just being able to know how, just like the Apostle Paul in the scriptures was able to appeal to a culture based on what they were already doing in their culture, the unknown God. And how do you do that? But so I love that, because it's helping women to take out all this maybe clutter, I can speak on this, and this, and this. And how do you bring that into a message that they have some clarity, but also some confidence? Yeah, this is the message that God wants me to speak on.
It's profound. And watching, being in the courses live while the two of you were teaching. So Molly has the first 3 weeks, and Molly, I'll have you come up and talk about just a little bit. Don't give away everything, but just give some teasers as to what it is that you share, and then we'll go Lisa. And I ended it. So I have the privilege of being able to not just learn from them and be on those courses, but to watch all of the comments in the live chat as they were teaching the courses, and the breakthroughs and the aha moments that people were having. Oh, really? Okay. The clarity that they were able to gather was really profound. And I'm excited about it because, oh gosh, we talk to so many people. I know you do, both of you, all three of us, we're talking to dozens and dozens of people. I mean, not daily dozens, but over the course of a week, we've talked to a lot of people. And I want them all to take the course, because I watch people almost talk in circles oftentimes. They'll tell you everything in the first 2 sentences, and they'll talk for 30 more minutes just reiterating the first 2 sentences. Sometimes it's nerves, sometimes it's because they can't craft, they can't communicate what they're feeling. They don't know how, they don't know what. And I think to myself, man, there isn't a person that couldn't benefit from just the clarity of mind of being able to execute any message, whether it's a message from a stage, a message on a live or a social media, or if you're building a course, or a message at the dinner table. I mean, we can all benefit from that. And I'm so appreciative of people that really have honed in on those communication skills. And let's be honest, we are living in the age of media, and we are bombarded. I was literally just writing something about this before we got on this podcast. We are bombarded between social media and traditional media, news channels. We are bombarded with communication that is increasingly negative. And so to be kingdom entrepreneurs and to have this mission to impact the world through what we're doing, we have got to equip more people to get that message out there, so more people will hear it and more people will receive it.
Oh, that's good. I love that. Yeah. What I love about how all three of us came together is like we all have very similar areas of expertise, but they're also different at the same time, and the depth in which you go at the same time. From Michelle and Lisa have definitely had more stage time than me. For me, being a former news anchor and reporter, I have mastered the 15, 30, 60-second, like just get it out, get it done. Because when you really focus on it, it can go by really quick. So a lot of what I've loved to see is, like you said, like, let's say less and have more impact. And just watching women being like, okay, let me collect my thoughts. What is that going to look like? Right? What is that going to be? And one of the things that we go through is helping women like categorize. Like one of the things I go through is, okay, here, out of everything that you can speak of, your brain's just blah, it's just spaghetti on a wall, but you're picking out a couple key pieces, and let's drill down deep. You love to talk about empowerment or leadership or other things, and let's drill down deep. And then from drilling down deep on those topics, how do you set up a social media clip of 30, 60, 90 seconds, or maybe something on YouTube that's a little bit longer? 5 minutes for me is long. And we're doing a 10-minute talk here. Some of these women that can't get things in for 30 minutes, but it just comes with repetition. It's not knocking anybody. It just comes with repetition and just learning to pick that out. And then having these women go back and listen to themselves. They're like, oh, like, I literally want to curl up and cry. I'm like, I get it. It is painful because you're like, I want to change all of it, just scrap it. But you're your best feedback. And so watching that has just been so amazing to watch people transform. Because I tell people the only reason I am where I am is because I was 22, 23, got in the news, was in it for 5 years. And the amount of times I had to go live and with breaking news was just like, it's not normal, right? It's not a normal job. Mm-hmm. So it's just like, take what I've learned, let me pour that into you, and then just get that repetition. Just like these two ladies, Lisa and Michelle, like they are incredible at their craft because they've had that repetition. They have messed up more times than everybody else, including me. And we're just showing you the, faster way to do it, but you're still going to have your hiccups, and it's not being embarrassed or like, oh, I'm not as good as them. It's like, this is just a point of pushing through and getting feedback. So reminding women of, don't come down on yourselves, but just push through that, because your story is meant to be mentorship to somebody else. And I tell people the example all the time, and I'll share it here very briefly, and then I'll pass it back to you. Is I remember I was doing a live on Facebook with somebody. I did a live series for a long time. and we're doing this interview back and forth, and this lady all of a sudden, and we're on our phones because, or sorry, it was live on Instagram, so you can only go live on your phone. All of a sudden I see her looking off at the side, and I'm like, what is she looking at? Like, doesn't she know that we're live? Like, this is really awkward. I'm standing there like, okay, are we gonna finish? We wrap up, we get done, we go into the DMs, and I said, hey, by the way, what was that? Like, that was really awkward. Like, it was only maybe 5-10 seconds, which felt like forever. She goes, you won't believe it. There was a man stripping outside of my window. And I was like, what? Like, tell me more. Like, what is happening over there? She's like, oh, it's a really hot day. The gardener just happened to take his shirt off in front of the window, and it was right there where my phone was. So I was like, you should have shared that in the live. That would have been hilarious. Like, somebody stripping in front of my window. I'm sorry, I'm distracted. And I bring that example in is because just because you're going live and sharing something doesn't mean life is going to stop for you. That's actually when it's going to start to kick up and try to throw you off your game, even with somebody stripping in front of a window because it's a hot day. But it's such a great reminder of like, just keep flowing with it. And if it does happen, just bring people in of, this is what's going on. Whether you mess up, something happens, there's a big noise, life happens. And so watching women be like, oh, wow, so you're telling me if my room where I'm doing my Zoom isn't perfectly quiet, that's okay. And I'm like, yes. Because from the news perspective, when people watch TV, they're like, oh, it's so picture perfect. And I'm like, I could tell you plenty of stories as to how it's not, but they make it look that way. But what people want is, this is what you do in the midst of life happening. And I love watching women push through that. So that's one of the biggest, like, I know that story is an aha for a lot of people whenever I share that, but watching kind of like the things melt off of these women of like, oh, that expectation can go away now. And I'm like, yes, praise God, move forward.
It's
So
so
that's
good.
what I absolutely love.
Yeah, I love that. I love how it just flows from one to the other as we do our sessions. And you know what you're saying there about perfection, I find that's a huge area. I don't know if it's just for women. I find is women really get caught up in this more than men, but trying to be perfect when they speak. And so one of the part that I talk about in my 3 weeks is it's all about connection, not perfection. Like we have to shift how we show up so that we are looking at the audience or the listeners as the people that we're serving. It's not about what we have to say, it's about what they're going to take away. And so in our training, we all talk about that in terms of how we connect. And I know that for me, you know, just like you talked about how many times you failed or flopped, I fell down many times and was almost at the point where just giving up. But this is what I learned, that the skills to become or the thing that makes an effective communicator are all skill based. And so if you're listening today and you're thinking, you know what, I'm not an extrovert, I'm not naturally talented. Well, hello, I'm not an extrovert. I know Michelle is, but if you are coachable, if you are willing to learn, and this is what was revolutionary for me, going from being terrified to speak, is that God said, if you're willing to learn the skills, you can become a half decent communicator. You can become a good communicator. And so I put myself in a place to be coached, to learn, develop the skills. It's 93% is skill development. So that's really what this Radiant Speaker Academy is all about. It's a boot camp to get you ready, whether it be online or on the stage. And so my part is all about helping. What is it that helps you connect with your audience and influence your audience, and not just your words, but your voice is a huge part of that, and your body language. Some of the things that most speakers don't even think about or not even trained in. And so I love how we all have acronyms for our part. Mine is IMPACT. Yours is Molly Camera, right?
Yes.
Camera, IMPACT. And Michelle, I'll let you take it away for yours.
Mine is STAGE. And I am definitely not an expert. If anything, I feel most of the time like a slow motion train wreck.
Oh my gosh.
But I will tell you, kind of talking about what both of these women are talking about being perfect. The very first time I ever, before I began speaking and training in the beauty industry, my training was that we all had to share like it was like 2 minutes about ourselves in front of a camera in a room. There was about 20 of us. It was a horseshoe shaped table. There was a camera positioned in the center of it. And we had to stand in the center of the horseshoe to introduce ourselves, tell a little bit about ourselves to the group. And it was recorded. All I can say is I am so thankful to Jesus that that recording is not available on social media or to anybody in the world. This was one of the most horrific things I have ever watched. It was watching myself do this little talk. I was flailing about. I was horrified to watch myself. And then after we all had to watch each other back and critique each other's talk. I mean, talk about getting thrown into the deep end of the swimming pool. That's how I began learning how to speak in front of people. And it was horrifically bad. And even though over the years I would get better at one thing, each time I was attempting something new, a different platform, a different talk, whatever, it was the same thing again. I had to be bad before I could become better. And it's really a process. And I think that we are living in a world where people want to start and go to expertise. And we've lost some of the value of all the things that happen in between. I will speak for myself that all of the train wrecks that I've had from the first time until today have actually built my skill level. And I've been willing to look really, really bad and do embarrassing things, which at the time I didn't realize they were embarrassing until maybe after the fact. I'm like, oh my gosh, how embarrassing was that I said that or did this or acted that way or whatever. And so we are really hoping to help you actually shorten the learning curve, but it won't take it away. You will still have your own learning curve because you're unique. You have a unique message, a unique style, and you will develop that style throughout the 9 weeks of this course. And let me just make a point here. We're not trying to create little mini-me's, little minions. What we want to do is help you to become the speaker that you were created to be, the communicator that you were created to be. I always laugh because I can always tell what course or class or whatever people have gone through. They use the same vernacular, right? Like they're taught this thing that basically makes them another version of the main person that's putting on the event. And we don't want that. We know that you were uniquely created, crafted together, knit together in your mother's womb by God himself with a unique message and a unique story. And we want you to become who you were created to be, the most excellent version of that. So I think that's another point of difference with what we're doing here. We're not trying to create little Mollys, little Lisas, and little Michelles. We want you to step into who you are. And while that sounds lovely, I actually think it's harder for people to do that. It's much easier for them to mimic talking like, moving like somebody else because then they have a framework. So it seems harder, but this is much more empowering to you. And I think your message will be even more profound. So I talk about being authentic. I talk about learning to craft a message that will reach every personality type, because generally speaking, we speak in our personality type, not thinking of anybody else. So only some people in your audience will be like, you're amazing. This will happen with me and Bobby. I'd be like, that was amazing. He's all, I hated it. Or the reverse. I'd be like, that was terrible. He's all, I loved it. And I found that if there was a speaker that we both liked, they all had the same approach to crafting a message that actually spoke to everybody in the audience. So I work to teach people that skill, as well as being radically authentic and understanding like that this thing that we're doing is not speaking. It is an exchange between us and the people that we're speaking to. There's this energy exchange. So that amongst a bunch of other things. But the great thing about the Radiant Speaker Academy is it doesn't have to end there. And in a few minutes, I'll let Molly share how you can actually be a part of it. But it doesn't have to end there, because while you have 9 weeks online with us, if you want to take it to the next level, you can opt in for the actual certification, which means you will carry the title of a certified Radiant Speaker, which, let me tell you, is going to carry some weight. That's all I'm saying. It's going to carry some weight here in the future. You're going to be honored to carry that seal. But what comes with that is, in addition to the 9 weeks, you will get some one-on-one coaching to come to our live certification, where you have the opportunity to have a dress rehearsal of your Kim Tem talk on stage in front of an audience. The first day, and the second day, you will have the ability to actually deliver your professional Kim Tem talk, to have it professionally recorded and leave with a reel that you can use to promote yourself, to promote your business, whatever. That is worth its weight truly in gold. And the price tag is so small in this compared to other things. so you can take it to the next level. And Molly, I'll let you talk about how people can be a part of the Radiant Speaker Academy.
Yes, my favorite part. Well, obviously, you need to be in this with us, clearly. And one of the things I want to touch on briefly, as Michelle mentioned, something so key is that activation of not duplicating us into other people. It's the activation of what's already inside of you, which that's what we're all about in GPA, whether it's the Radiant Speaker Academy, Leader Academy, our opportunity, everything. And I love that because, like you said, Michelle, it is the harder thing. But like you said, you learn from all those train wrecks. And I hope that somebody heard that she said that, because it's like, we're literally trying to give you that wisdom, that shortcut from the train wrecks, but there's still going to be a couple of your own. And that's okay, because then that's going to be wisdom and for other people to learn from your train wrecks. So how do you become a part of the Radiant Speaker Academy? So we have two ways. Number one, you can do it retail, where you can just come into the Radiant Speaker Academy. We have it retail where you can just be a part of this community. That will include the 9-week live academy, and it's going to include the certification, like Michelle mentioned, where you're going to get that live feedback in front of an audience, get that recording, which is incredible, and be officially certified. And then you have the VIP membership route. So the VIP membership is where now you get access to absolutely everything that GPA has to offer. All of our 200 plus courses in the membership, the Radiant Leadership Academy, Radiant Speaker Academy, up to 7 live calls that we have all throughout the month. Some of those are even weekly. So there's so much value in that. And most people come that VIP route because you can also be a part of the opportunity here of, as you're listening to this podcast right now, like, who do you know that needs a place where they can activate what's inside of them, that also need an opportunity? They want to help other people activate. This is the spot. This is the place to do that. Because again, we're not trying to duplicate ourselves. We're showing you what we've learned from our own train wrecks. I love that. I'm going to use that, Michelle. I'm stealing it. But it's also like, hey, you know what? I see something in you. I want to pull it out, and I want to put you in this environment that's going to pour in, pray over you, and give you the tools to increase those skills. So then you can go out and be that disciple, be that person, activate in other people. And so, yeah, either the retail route, the VIP route. And if you have any questions on that, you can email me, molly@girlpowerlines.com. Part of my role here in the company is I help all of our ambassadors really be able to share what it is that we have here. We had a pretty big first round class for the Radiant Speaker Academy, and this is probably going to more than double for the second round because of what happened and transpired in that first class. The second round is just going to be more electrifying. But we do have limited spots in the certification. So if you want to jump in on that, jump in ASAP. And we're just going to be so excited for you to come in here and really just, again, pull out and activate those messages that are inside of you.
Thank you, Molly. And she is absolutely crushing it. So I don't think she said it, but the retail, if you don't want to be part of the membership, but you want to go through the training and the certification, is $4,000. Is that right?
Actually, it's $4,500.
Oh,
yes,
I was close. It's $4,500, which, by the way, is still a fraction of the cost of every other speaking course I have ever seen. However, if you wanted to become, not just go through this class, but take advantage of all the things that we have to offer, you can become a VIP member or ambassador. It's $399 down, and then $149 a month. And of course, there is the opportunity attached. So, I mean, it's literally a no-brainer. It's like a no-brainer to me. It seems so silly. But there's a seat at the table for you. You're welcome here, and you can go through the Radiant Leadership Academy and the Radiant Speaker Academy over and over and over. So it's not a one-off. Like, you can continue to get in and get better and get better. And I think a lot of people that went through our first round are going to go through it again, because they're going to be like, okay, I'm better now. Now I can take new things from this training. Lisa, I would love for you to close us out.
Sure. Yes. So I just want to end with this, because people say, well, why do I need this? You know, we talked about it in everyday life, but if you're listening to this, you are probably a woman entrepreneur or a woman who is wanting to make an impact in the world. And speaking is the number one way for you to grow your business, to expand your influence with very little cost. You just use your voice and you have your skills to do that. The other thing is, I just want to leave you with this quote by Les Brown. If you know who Les Brown is, he is a world-class speaker, is one of the world champions of Toastmasters, and an all-around great guy, kingdom-minded speaker as well. And he said this one time, which stuck with me. He said, it's better to be prepared and not have an opportunity than to have an opportunity to speak and not be prepared. And what I love about the Radiant Speaker Academy is this is an opportunity for you to get prepared And you know how it is when you buy a car and you do all this research, and then when you buy a car and then all of a sudden you see that car everywhere. Before you didn't see it anywhere. Well, that's the same thing, I believe, what happens with opportunity. We say, oh, where are the opportunities to speak? But when you get prepared, now you see them everywhere. So that's what's going to happen, I believe. So I want to leave you with that if you know that God is calling you to speak, or you want to have an impact in the world, you need to up level your skills. I want to invite you to be a part of the Radiant Speaker Academy.
Well said. Perfect. I love that. I love that quote. I love you both. I feel honored to just, first of all, be friends of women like yours. And second of all, to be locked, it'll make me cry, to have locked arms with women like you for what we're doing, is such an absolutely humbling honor. I learned so much from both of you, and I love you dearly. So thank you for being on the podcast. Thank you for all you contribute, not just inside of what we're doing at Girl Power Alliance, but who you are in the world, to the people in your circle, to the people in your community, to the people that you meet at the store. You're just remarkable women that are having an impact everywhere you go. And I love you so much. So thank you for being on the podcast with us today. And if you're not already part of this community, you need to be. Thank you so much, ladies.